my question here is, obviously I'm doing 1 year no spends and telling you about how I did this back in 2019. So firstly, take a guess at how much I managed to save during my year. Don't tell me yet, because I will reveal the answer at the end. But if you can have a figure in mind, and then maybe you might want to adjust it up and down as we're going through the slides. But hopefully, yeah, it'll be a surprise at the end. So first off, I would say if you are going to do something where you do 1 year no spends or any other length of time, it's really important to be absolutely super clear on your reasons why you're doing it and be amazingly conscious of other people's situations. So I've heard the 1 year no spend trend be described as things like poverty tourism and stuff like that. And this is absolutely not something that I was aiming for. So my reasons were, I was made aware of Earth Overshoot Day, which I think has been mentioned before in the past. I had just kind of like a general apathy with consumerism. It was like, why am I buying stuff? Why am I having to do this? Why am I keeping up with this trend? And I found that I just had too much stuff. Like I was looking around my house, I was like, why do I need all these things? Why is it there? You know, like kind of, why am I trying to do this? And generally, I was worried about my eco footprint. I was worried about how this attitude that I had that had led me to this point was just generally affecting the earth and everything like that. But that was me. And there are tons of other reasons why you might want to do sort of like a no spend situation. So I've heard someone say that they did it to save money for a holiday, that they just generally wanted to shake up their spending habits. And I think that's quite relevant at the moment with cost of living and everything like that. Some people wanted to look at green spending and supporting small businesses. So just generally where they were placing their money. So this isn't kind of like a money saving sort of lunch and learn so much as it is a conscious look at where you're spending your money with the aim of saving money at the end of it, if that makes sense. So what's not included when you sit down to do this? Obviously, things like your mortgage or your rent, your utilities, any insurance, things like that. And the last point is really key and critical here. So it's absolutely anything else that is a necessity for you that you can't go without. So I've had conversations with people saying, well, for me, I wear makeup every day. So replacing that makeup is an absolute necessity for me because it's how I feel good about myself. It's part of my well-being. You may have other costs on here which I haven't thought about, which you think, oh, that's such a necessity for me. And it's really thinking about what is key to your spending and the things that really matter to you. And I absolutely adore this picture of a house because that's a necessity for me, is having a house like that. So the things that you're going to be looking at when you're looking at how you're spending your money is things like entertainment and everything that you spend your money on entertaining yourself, maybe eating out, drinks and things like that, furniture and home items, new clothes and shoes, beauty products, gifts that you're giving to people, and anything else that's generally a want and not a need. So, oh, I really want that. Oh, I've been doing that. It's having that conscious thought about, do I actually really need this? Or is it just something that I really want? Now, I appreciate that a lot of things on that list of what is including, especially things like eating out and drinks and stuff like that, are someone's necessity. They are someone's absolute thing that they can't live without. So this isn't a hard and fast list. It's just an areas of things to think about. And what works for me might not necessarily work for you in your situation. So I don't want to preach to anyone. I'm just kind of explaining my experiences in my very unique situation. So this is how I did it. I looked at everything that I spent money on and I applied the waste hierarchy. And then at the end of every month, after I'd paid out for everything that I needed to, anything that was left over, I put into a savings account on payday. So I didn't say I was going to save £100 a month. I just said whatever was left. And sometimes that was a nice amount, and sometimes it was 30p, because that's how months work. If you're not familiar with the waste hierarchy, it starts with avoid. So avoiding creating waste. And for me, I took that as avoiding spending. And then we work down the list. So avoiding, these were the things that I avoided straight off the bat. So for me, I would spend a ridiculous amount of money in the Sainsbury's, which was next door to head office, or a ridiculous amount of money walking up to the high street to buy sometimes one, if not two meals a day whilst I was working. So a key thing for me was always making my lunch. And I also looked at how I could get rid of takeaways as well. So I've put here that making fakeaways at home is a good option. So making your own versions of Chinese or making your own version of burger and chips. So that's my halloumi burgers. I would love to say that my cooking is as good as that, but it's not. It's just a Google picture. I gave up a gym membership that I was paying for, and I started running because it was free and easy. And Ground Control were sponsoring Parkrun. So Parkrun is a fantastic free event, and a good way to keep up your fitness. At the weekend, when I wasn't working, I walked or cycled. My local library ended up becoming a fantastic resource for me. And I know loads of people use local libraries already, but if you don't, definitely go down and investigate, because it's not just books, it's films and music. And basically, if they can put a sticker on it and loan it to you, they will do in local libraries. It's brilliant. And the other key bit that I did, which really helped me, was I gave people my time or my skills as presents. So my dad had a big hole in his fence that there was something coming through. So for his birthday, I set up loads of wildlife cameras all over his garden to work out what was coming in and out. And it was hedgehogs, which he was most happy about. But rather than sort of buying him a card or a box of chocolates or something like that, I actually used the skill that I had and the equipment that I had and gave that to him. And it was fantastic. I think I spoke to him more kind of in that week than I would do usually for his birthday. So that was kind of what worked for me. The next one on the waste hierarchy is reduce. And this is looking at what I have to spend my money on and then working out whether I could make savings in any areas. So for me, that was bulk buying, batch cooking, looking at supermarket deals. The other thing that I did, which worked pretty well, is I'm quite lucky that my neighbours and I get on quite well. So whilst I was at work, my neighbour would go to our local market and buy a massive bag of apples for £1. And usually I wouldn't have done that because I wouldn't have eaten them before they'd gone off. But she would buy like a big bag of apples and then she would say, here, have 6 of them. And I would be like, okay. And then I'd swap that for like, I bought my toilet roll in bulk. So I'd swap that for like a toilet roll and she'd be like, oh, excellent. So it was about kind of that kind of buy and share with family and friends where it allowed you to get stuff at maybe a cheaper price than you would usually. And then looking at eco alternatives. So the picture on the left there is of my keep leaf, which is one of the single best things I've ever spent money on in my entire life. So I used to go through a lot of cling film and a lot of sort of kitchen roll and tin foil and stuff like that. And these keep leaves are waterproof bags that you can store sort of dry goods in. So putting my sandwich in that every day, or putting a handful of grapes in that every day. And then at the end of the week, you just chuck it in the washing machine with your usual wash, and it's ready to use for the next week. I am a big fan. So thoroughly recommend. And then also, like I say, it helped reduce that spend on the alternatives that I would need to keep food for longer. Reuse, or is the next one on the hierarchy, but for me, I applied this as just simply using up the things that I had. So things lurking in the bottom of the freezer or the back of the cupboard. There are some really, really good websites out there where you put in the 3 weirdest ingredients you possibly can, and it spits you out a whole batch of recipes that you can make from those ingredients. There's my tube squeezer picture, which is a really good way of using up the ends of tubes. So I have one on my tomato puree tube, which sits in the fridge, and then one in on my toothpaste, which helps me get the most out of everything that I bought. And even if you get sort of like 3 or 4 more teeth brushes out of your toothpaste over the course of a year, it's really going to add up, believe me. Christmas toiletries and presents. So before I started doing this, I was a big fan of like saving things for a rainy day or saving things for a special occasion that never seemed to come round. So every week or every month, I would buy shower gel at the supermarket when I had 6 the best ones sitting at home because I didn't want to break up the gift set. So I managed to go my entire year in 2019 without buying any shower gel at all, just by using up stuff that came in Christmas presents. So that was like another cost that came off the list. Recycle is the next one down. So everything has 2 uses. So packing paper, that especially evil Amazon deliveries come with a huge amount of brown paper, and I saved it all up, and I wrapped presents for people in packing paper. If you've got kids, it's brilliant because you can get them to draw all over it. And they can actually customize the packing paper as gift paper for different people. And I had a really fun afternoon babysitting my nephews whilst they did potato prints of loads of packing paper for me, and then I used it as wrapping paper. Water bottles can be used as either watering cans, so you could sort of dig them into the earth like the picture and then use them. So when my watering can broke in 2019, I didn't replace it. I just used water bottles that I already had and things like that. I understand as well that a lot of what I'm saying is really basic, and a lot of people will probably do a lot of these things already, but it's kind of more the principle that I'm trying to get across. My last one was a mitigated disaster. So I'd read online that you can turn your old sponges and extend the life of them by putting them into a sock. So you could then use your sock as this sponge and a sock to wipe surfaces down and for dusting and stuff like that. And it was so bad. It was so rubbish. It just didn't work at all. But definitely gave it a go. And I think that's kind of the thing that puts people off sometimes. They're like, well, this is easy and a convenient product for me, or this is what I've always done, or I'm not sure how this eco alternative will work. But sometimes you've just got to bite the bullet and give it a go, and then put your hands up and go, sponges and socks are not good ideas. Not good ideas at all. Yeah, so take that one, ignore it, move along. The last one is recover. So this is all to do with things like make, do, amend, I think is the great thing. So this is an example of my very first attempt at using a sewing machine. I made a little carry case for my reusable straws out of some material that I had lying around, and I have since made dresses and a pair of trousers, which I'm glad I tested out walking around the house because they did fall apart. But I'm trying. I'm keeping going with it, but I can do basic repairs and stuff, and I much rather repair stuff than buy brand new stuff. If you haven't got the time, space, or energy to learn a new skill, um, have a look at repair cafes. Repair cafes tend to be pop-up, so they appear like once every 3 months or something like that. And your local council will get together a whole bunch of technical specialists and put them all in one place. And then for a minimal fee, you can take your item in to get it repaired whilst you have a cup of tea and a cake that someone's made. And they're fantastic events because not only do you get to find that odd job man that you're looking for to fix everything in your house, but you also get cake, which is anything with cake is a win for me. And you don't have to replace items, even like basic stuff like kettles, toasters, that smartwatch that you can't figure out how to change the battery in, anything like that. These experts are usually there and can help you out. The other thing as well is to try local shops or market stalls, because a lot of the time, a lot of the traders that are selling these items also know how to carry out the basic repairs as well. And they might not advertise that they do, but if you sort of go down and say, can you help me out with this? It's definitely going to be cheaper than replacing it. And it's going to be more eco-friendly repairing the stuff that you've already got. So top tip, market traders are your best friends. Some other quick ideas, grow your own. This was one way that I managed to cut down my costs. So I know that tons of people within ground control have allotments, and I also know that tons of people that are in ground control don't have access to a personal green space like a garden or a balcony. But I've grown herbs in pots on my windowsill. You can get involved with community gardening projects. So a lot of the time, if you can agree to grow vegetables in someone else's garden or in a community shared space like a churchyard or something like that will often have community garden spaces where you can grow your own. Just get involved. There's nothing, I'm preaching this converted at ground control. There's nothing better than growing your own. And there is some examples there of my very spindly carrots, which I'm not amazingly proud of because they didn't work really well. But I did grow purple podded peas and they were amazing, and I'm way more proud of those. So I'm kind of happy to admit when things don't go well, but I think the principle is to just give it a go. And honestly, if your carrots are better than mine, I will take top tips at the end of this presentation. So the most commonly asked question is what to do if you can't avoid a spend. So there's always unexpected costs which are going to come up within your no spend year, week, month, whatever you decide. And the way to do it really, and the principles that I used, was to really look back at my reasons why. So I fully understood why I was doing this no spend, and I understood what my unavoidable spend was. And I was just like, okay, I'm really strong in my mindset. I know exactly what I'm doing. This spend is definitely unavoidable. It completely fits into my reasons why, and therefore I'm happy to do the spend. Research the best option. So take more time over that spend than you usually would do. So I don't know, say for example, you need to buy a new pair of jeans because every pair of jeans that you own has a hole in them, for example. Research all the different options. Don't just go down to Primark and buy the first pair of jeans off the shelf. Look at ones that are going to be built for last. Look at ethical producers. Maybe have a look at a greener alternative to denim, for example, and then actually spend your money on something that's going to last. Buying something that's going to last 20 years is way better than buying something once a year for 20 years. It just the water cost, the production cost, the eco footprint, the carbon emissions, that one product is going to be definitely better than 20. And finally, don't attach any guilt to your purchase if it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable and you've checked everything else. So feel confident that you can go ahead and buy something, and don't let it be your excuse to give up. So if you have to spend one thing in November, for the rest of the 10 months of the year, you've already done everything that you possibly can do. So don't feel guilty about your one thing and then fall off the wagon for December. It's fine. Everyone has lives to lead, and it's going to work. So finally, my top tips. The thing that really helped me was documenting my journey. I did this using Instagram. Other platforms are available, or however you choose to do it. You don't have to make it as public as I did. But it helps you stay accountable. It helps you stay on track, and it's a really great talking point. So if someone says to you, hey, can you come out to my birthday meal? You might turn around and say to them, actually, I'm doing this thing where I'm really conscious about my spending. These are my reasons why, but let's celebrate your birthday in a different way. And they might go, oh yeah, of course we could do that. Or if do you see what I mean? It allows you to share your journey, and it allows you to encourage others, and it allows you to for other people to understand what you're doing. I would say start with a week, a no spend week, and work out. This really helps you understand where your non-avoidable spends are and what's really important to you, and how easy it is to swap things, and what planning you'll need to do, and everything like that. Then go for a month, then build up to a year, which is what I did. So during 2018, I think I had 2 months of no spend and a couple of weeks of no spend before I finally committed to it in 2019. Do some research. So TripAdvisor has a list of the top 5 free things to do for every town in the UK. Eventbrite has a list of loads of events which are for free. SRO Audiences is a good way to get in to see TV shows and films and comedy shows and stuff like that for free, because a lot of this sort of like laughter track in the background, they want people there. FreeCycle is a brilliant website where people just put on stuff for free, and they say, please come and get it, and you can go around and pick it up, and there's no payment involved in it whatsoever. FreeCycle is split by town, so you can just go in, click on your town, and have a look at stuff you can get for free, which might be one of your ways of avoiding spending. Facebook Marketplace, looking for things secondhand, and also family and friends. So, for example, where I live, I have a driveway out the front of my house, and I regularly need to de-weed it and clean it. So rather than buying my own jet washer, I borrow my father-in-law's jet washer once a year. Excellent way of not spending at all, and things like that. Embracing a slower pace of life and enjoying simple pleasures was something that I found just happened naturally throughout the course of my year. There's an awful lot of stuff out there about gratitude and how gratitude is a good practice. But I really, really did start to enjoy the tiny little things that happened. And it made me more conscious of those things, more aware overall. And lastly, plan ahead. So link no spend activities to events. So use up old cupboard items to make a fancy dinner to celebrate. The thing that I did with my friends was, we're all avid readers. So what if we read a good book during the year, I would gift it to someone else with a note as to what I enjoyed about it and why I think that they would enjoy it as well. And I found that this was a brilliant way of connecting with people on a more personal level. It's not just, oh, here's something that you will like. This is exactly why I think you would like it. And I had notes from my friends with, oh, you'll really enjoy paragraph 3 on page 107. And I literally could not wait to get there to see what it was all about. So yeah, I would say plan ahead. Think of unique ways that you can do stuff, and try and link events with no spend. It's a really key way of moving forward. Right, so finally, the big question. How much do people think I save? I can't see the chat, but I was wondering if people wanted to put some stuff in the chat or just throw some figures out, and we'll see where we get there. So
I'd go with chat if I were you, Alison.
Okay, right, fine, because I can't see the chat at the moment. So
okay, so you've got 1,000, 750, 10,000, 2,000, 1,500, 1,500, 1,200.
wow.
I feel like that woman on Countdown. 2.5 grand, 1,255 and 68 pence. Thank you for that, Bevan. 3 grand, 6,000, 2,000. 850, 500 to 1,000. So you know where you've been listening to those numbers. Okay. Is anyone close?
Ish. I feel like I need a drum roll. I probably should have got a drum roll. Right, okay.
I can only do that thing on a table.
Here we go. I saved just over £7,000. I worked out it was about £20 a day.
So I'm looking back for you to see who was closest.
Yeah.
I reckon it was Laura Devlin, who's in the people team, with £6,000.
Wow, perfect.
So yeah, amazing. Well done.
Yeah. So yeah, this is me, this is my experience. I appreciate it's going to be different for everyone, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions that anyone has about any particular aspect, or if anyone's got any really good tips that weren't included in my presentation that we can share. I think that would be amazing. So if it's okay, I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'll take some questions.
Also, guys, you can either do that live in the old-fashioned way, or you can put something in the chat. For those of you who've got meetings directly after this one, of course, feel free to jump off and you'll be able to listen to the recording later. So if anyone's got any questions, you can either do them in the chat and I'll read them out, or you can ask yourself.
Hi, Alison. I'll go
Hiya.
first. I guess most people would sort of think that, well, I'm spending less money, I'm going to be less happy. How did you find the actual experience? Did you find that you were less happy, or did you find actually that you, as you said, enjoyed the small things and actually were more happy on balance?
Yeah, okay. So January, I was really excited, and everything worked really, really well, and I was super enthusiastic. February and March, I was miserable. I can't lie, I was utterly miserable. I found it really difficult. I saw loads of people going out doing fancy things for Valentine's Day. My birthday's at the end of April, so I was like, all my friends were having birthdays and stuff, and I felt like I was a bit of a Scrooge and things like that. But I said in my presentation, I think the thing that was really key for me was learning to appreciate the small things. And if you come out working with me, I will constantly be pointing things out. I'll be like, look at that amazing view, isn't it brilliant? Or I'll be like, oh my gosh, there's an amazing site toilet, isn't this fantastic? Or I'll walk into a supermarket and I'll be like, they sell the exact chocolate bar that I'm looking for. So the things that everyone takes for granted become really enjoyable. So it's a shift in that sort of switching your happiness from this super amazing all singing all dancing piece of tech makes me happy to actually just going on a walk with a dog, or coming across a dog during my work day makes me super happy. So it's learning to shift and things like that, but it took a while, and that's why I said try it out to start off with, because it really can take time to shift.
Awesome. Thank you, Alison.
That's okay. So I think Sophie has asked in the chat, because I can see the chat now, what did I miss the most? without a shadow of a doubt, the thing I miss the most was donuts. Now, I know it's like some sort of super random thing, but everything in the world just became food orientated for quite a while. And yeah, for some reason, donuts was the thing that I missed the most. That's just the way my donut-y brain works, I suppose. So I'm just having a look at some other questions. Hamza is asking, what did I do with the money I saved and when did I start spending again? Very good question. So with the money I saved, it was, in all honesty, I haven't really done anything with it. I just used it to jumpstart a savings account, which I'd been meaning to do as an adult for quite a while, and I'd never had the opportunity to do it before. So I didn't like go out and blow it on a holiday or a big purchase or anything like that. I used it to create a buffer for me to feel a bit more financially secure, which is rubbish, which is why I didn't put it in the presentation. I have now started spending again because I did it in 2019. But I am definitely more conscious of what I spend my money on. So I will be like, do I really need to do this? It's some of the habits that I had before, so like bringing my own lunches and giving people different types of gifts and things like that, and reusing everything apart from the sponge and the sock, which was an utter disaster. I do sort of have that mindset and I do it. So I find that where prices have gone up, especially and where sort of things were restricted during lockdown, I didn't find it easy because I think it was difficult for everyone, but I already had a lot of coping strategies in place, a lot of things that I was doing previously. So and I think with big purchases and stuff like that, I'm still really conscious of doing all the research, buying to last. I don't really like throwing things away still. So a lot of things have come through, but I am way more relaxed on my spend now than I ever used to be. So yeah.
Okay. I'm going to jump off, Alison, simply because I'm being summoned to my next meeting. That doesn't mean you have to. The recording will finish automatically. So you have got a couple more in the chat there. Thank you very much for doing this.
That's fine.
And like I said, anyone who wants to still ask questions, if you've got time, can continue to do that now.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
No worries. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Yeah, so I've got a couple of other questions which I'll just answer. So Samantha's asking, have I got any good gifts ideas? The number one good gift idea, which I tell people, is babysitting. All my family and friends, as soon as I said, is there anything I can gift you of my time, all of them went, just come around and babysit for us. That might just be my family, but it was kind of what people wanted. I'm also a big believer in giving plants instead of flowers because they're definitely more sustainable. And I think if you give someone a plant, like a cutting from your garden or a plant of something that really means something to you, it's anything that you can gift which has that story, I think is a really cool way of doing it. And I think don't be afraid to make things personal when you give gifts, because it just helps create that connection with people. So books is great. A film that you've watched, because otherwise that DVD just sits in your DVD collection forever and you might get it out once in a blue moon. But I watched this film, it was really great. I want you to enjoy this experience for your birthday. Yeah. Oh, my mum wanted to get her ears pierced when she turned 70. So I gifted her my time to go with her to the piercer and hold her hand while she pierced her ears at 70. Anything like that, I think, that creates that personal connection with people is really good. So that's cool. I can answer questions for a bit more. Or if anyone's got any other really good money saving tips that they want to share, or if anyone can tell me the best variety of carrots to grow so I don't get spindly little things, that would be grand. If not, I'll shut up. No, good. Right, okay. I'm gonna thank you very much for your time and for listening to me waffle. I've much appreciated it. I'm doing some more lunch and learns later on in the year. I think I'm doing one around eco Christmas gifts later on. And I've got the big butterfly count in August, so please feel free to jump in. All right, see you guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Alison.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.